Hi, Flow family. Martine here.
Mason.
We're coming to you from the Zen offices with an update on water care. We've heard from the community, and we've done a live previously about hydrogen peroxide and the tanks depleting the hydrogen peroxide quickly. So we heard from you guys. We looked into it. We've been testing. We're trying to figure out what's going on, and we've come up with some new guidelines and new guides. So we're going to go into all of that during this video. But first, Mason, let's start with where we've been and
So a couple things to start off with. When we first put out our recommendations for water care, they were based on what float centers were doing. And as a float center or float spa, you have to adhere to certain legalities. You're going to have people in and out all day. It's a general public, and so it doesn't necessarily affect us because we're home floaters. So things are a little bit different. We don't have people, 6+ floats a day it's crazy. It's unheard of for a home float. So there are certain things that are a little bit different from float spas to home floaters, and that's going to affect the way that we treat our water going forward.
Yeah, I kind of think of it like going to a public pool or like a water park, something like that, where you go and they have so many people in there all day long that they just spike the water with chlorine as much as they can to keep the legal level up and keep everybody safe and healthy. But it's so much, you can smell it, you can feel it in your eyes burn and all that. So that's kind of what float centers are doing with hydrogen peroxide. You don't have to do that with your home pool. You also don't have to do that with your tank. So after you have a party at your home pool, you'll do a shock treatment. After you float in your tank, we're talking about doing a shock treatment.
Yeah.
So, but before we get to the new guidelines, we're going to get to those in just a second here. We just kind of want to go over what we've tested so far, because Mason and I have been working around the clock, just testing, trying to figure out what's going on and see if we can pinpoint the issue, right? So first thing we heard from everybody about was, hey, I had the tent, now I have the tank, the depletion rate is different, maybe it's the materials. So we looked into that, we cut some pieces out of the tent, we cut some pieces out of the tank, we took the materials, we tested them, we made little tiny tanks and tested at scale, at miniature scale, and they went up. We did not see a greater depletion rate with the tank material versus the tent material. It's a little bit different pattern and texture on there, also maybe different chemical makeup, but that's not depleting the hydrogen peroxide as far as we can see.
So another thing that we tried was the evaporation or the condensation. So we started doing testing on that because the tank is a little bit different than the tent, where it's a little bit more efficient. So we thought maybe the condensation on the inside was collecting and taking the peroxide with it. And so we did all sorts of tests trying to eliminate any condensation from building in the tank and continue to monitor it. And we didn't see any more rapid depletion than we do normally. So it was about the same.
Yeah, we thought that one was it, but it didn't pan out. Then we thought, hey, what about those inline carbon water filters that we give everybody with their tanks? Carbon and hydrogen peroxide react. If you mix the two together straight, like we did, we cut one of those filters open, took the carbon and put some hydrogen peroxide in there. Don't do it inside, do it outside. That's a whole different science experiment. It gives off ozone. They definitely react. Yeah. So we're like, okay, we'll take that. When you first start filling up your tank and start using that inline filter, there's a bunch of gray water that you're supposed to not let go into the tank. You get that out until it runs clear, turn it off, and just put it in your tank. We thought, well, what if people are just putting that directly into their tanks, and then that's reacting? So we got some of that water, we got it float ready, we put hydrogen in it, and that was not the answer. It did not cause it to deplete any faster.
It did not.
In fact, it stayed spiked in there. It was weird.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
So we also tested the heater pads because the heater pads on the tank are a little bit different than the tent. So for the people that have owned both, you can kind of see if you put them together. The tent heater pads are a little bit thinner, and so we just tested different heat temperatures. We tested the heater pads by themselves. We tested the different heater pads under a tank with water in it, and it did not give us any answers or shed any light. So it definitely was not that.
Yeah, and you got that microcontroller on there. It keeps it the same temperature. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's boiling the water or anything, and it's it keeps it the same temperature. They're just more efficient now.
Yeah.
So the next thing that we tested were filter bags. We thought maybe the makeup of the filter bags, maybe it was smaller than a micron, or maybe the material was reacting. There was something in the material that was reacting. So we got some different filter bags. We set up the tank without the filter running. We set it up without filter bag. We took samples of the filter bags, tried to get it to react with hydrogen water. And we couldn't find anything that pointed to that being it either. That's not causing depletion as far as we can tell.
Yeah. So along with that, we also tested the UV light. We wanted to make sure that the manufacturer didn't make a change on us, or something with the UV light itself hadn't changed without us being notified. So we just went ahead and tested the UV light, and it didn't evaporate, or it didn't dissipate the hydrogen peroxide any quicker than it normally does. So that didn't point us in the right direction.
And the filter pump too, right?
Yeah, and the water pump as well. So we wanted to make sure that the manufacturer for the water pump didn't make a change without us knowing. And so, the pump had the same results. We tested the entire filtration system basically. And it's been the same filtration system for about 2 years now. So all the parts are the same, all the pieces, everything. It's just the same model we've always used. So that did not shed any light either.
Yeah. So we thought, okay, maybe quality and concentration of the hydrogen peroxide. So we have a few different manufacturers' hydrogen peroxides here. So we tested those. We reached out to the community, and they posted pictures and let us know what they were using. Everybody's using like 27%, which seems to be the easiest to get, or higher. People were using appropriate amounts. They sent us pictures of their bottles. So we don't think that across the world hydrogen peroxide quality has gone down.
Yeah.
And from our two different companies, it hasn't. So it doesn't seem to be that. We also tested the test strips that we sent out with the tanks. Those were recording the spikes that we'd get after putting pretty good dose in. And so it's not those either. Those are working.
Yeah.
So it's not the test strips, and we've tested a lot more too. Just tons and tons of stuff, and we're still testing.
We are.
So if we find a eureka moment, we will definitely let everybody know. And if you guys have any more things for us to test, let us know. I almost feel like we're on a science show now.
I know. It feels that way.
Yeah, we could be doing our own little thing here, like Tank Mythbusters or something.
Yeah.
So we do have some new recommendations, and once again, just kind of remember, you're not running a float spa. You don't have people coming in constantly, one right after another. You do want to make sure you clean it after somebody's been in it.
Yeah.
But you don't have 6 people a day plus, coming in and floating in there.
Yeah.
So we do want to, the original goal was to get to 50 parts per million. And really, the good zone is between 30 and 50 parts per million.
Yeah.
It's just, those test strips. And we used to recommend they just keep that constantly. We can see that's not going to work moving forward. So now we're going to recommend a shock treatment.
Yeah.
And so, kind of the first part of that is the filter pump. You always want the filter pump running. So if you're floating, you turn it off. The rest of the time, it's running. It's keeping the water moving so the salt doesn't crystallize, and also just filtering through the micron bag. So that's the first part. And then the next part is?
Yeah, so after you get done with your float, or when it comes up on your weekly maintenance, like once a week,
Yeah.
I recommend.
Yeah, if you haven't floated for a week, or
Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to dose the tank, and I've written this down so I don't mess this up. So, so you want to dose the tank with 6 ounces or 225 milliliters of 27% hydrogen peroxide. If you have a higher strength, you use less. If you have a lower strength, you've got to use more. So you have to do a little bit of math there. The next thing you want to do is you want to dunk your test strip to make sure that you've spiked to at least the 30 to 50 parts per million that you had mentioned earlier. And then about, 15 seconds?
Yeah, 15 seconds later to test those.
15 seconds later, test the alkalinity and the pH. Make sure those two chemicals are healthy. And then 1 hour later, you want to turn on the UV light and run it for 24 hours or until your next weekly
just kind of turn it on and let it run.
Yeah, just let it run.
Now, if you have a timer, probably 8 hours is fine. But if you don't have a timer yet, then just let it run. More is not going to be worse for it. It's just killing bacteria in there. If you have a timer that does it for you, right?
And keep in mind when we say that 50 parts per million or higher isn't necessarily going to be bad, it's because it's temporary. Because we're doing a shock treatment, we don't want this level to be in there like continuously. So if we do go a little bit high, it's most likely going to dissipate the next day or the day after, and it's going to be a lower level. So if you do go a little bit higher, it's not it's not the end of the world.
Not the end of the world. You might just be wasting a little bit of hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah.
So yeah, based on that, we're using about 1/4 liter per month. If you do up to 2 float sessions a week. So if you float more than that, you're going to be doing it after every float. You're going to be using more. If you float less than that, then you're doing it once a week, and you'll be using a little bit less.
Yeah.
And that's when you haven't floated for a week. So these new water care guidelines, we're going to put a link down in the description to the new water care quick guide. So you can just download that. We're also going to email this to everybody. That's going to have, we're sending an email to all the tank owners. It's going to have this video, so you might be watching this in that. It's also going to have a link to the water care guide. And we'll also put it on the support page of zenflowco.com.
Yeah.
So we're getting the information out to you guys. We'll follow those instructions. If you didn't think we were clear here, there'll also be the water care guide. But let us know what you think. I mean, we've heard a lot from the community, and this is going a lot with like what people are doing right now, and it's based on our usage and our tests here. One other thing that we've heard from the group about is the hydrometers. So we've heard some people saying that they're broken. We've looked into it. So they're actually not broken. They're miscalibrated. So the little float in the back has the weight in the wrong spot, and so it doesn't get up to the float zone. The actual correct measurement is the 1.150. That is your actual float zone. So it's just miscalibrated, and we are very sorry about that. The manufacturer messed up. We didn't catch it. And now the manufacturer's actually out of business, so they can't remake them. We're looking for a new manufacturer in the future. But to keep it simple fix, look for that 1.150. And then we're also doing stickers. So we're going to print out some stickers here, get them made, and then we're going to send these around to everybody. And they're going to be real simple. You just put it on top of the old one, and it's going to have a new float zone. Just going to say float zone right here where the 1.150 is at. And then we're just keep it simple with right below it. It's add salt. If you're lower than 1.150, you got to add salt. You put it in a cup, or was it 225 grams of Epsom salt, and then you let it dissolve and remeasure. If it's above, you got to put in water, and so we say put in a liter, then remeasure. So we're just going to keep it real simple. We're not going to get into specific gravities and real granulated. Just you're either in the float zone or you got to add water or salt. Yeah. So let us know what you think about that fix. When you order your next filter bag, we're going to put these in with a little quick instruction guide on where to put it, so everybody will get that replacement. But let us know what you think in the comments, because we're listening to you guys, and we want to know what you think.
Definitely. Also, we are going to be testing the automated outlet timers. So we've seen a few recommendations from the Facebook group and various tank users and tent users. So we are going to be collecting those and testing them out here ourselves so that we can give you some recommendations. So over the next few weeks here, we'll get those in the office here, and then we will start testing and let you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there on the market. We'll figure out what our favorites are and what the features are really good about them, and then we'll make some recommendations for you guys. And that way, if you want to pick those up, we're probably not going to sell them, but we'll link it to where you can buy them.
Yep.
So just let us know what you think down in the comments about the new guidelines, about the hydrometer fix. Really anything else, guys. We're listening to you, so let us know. We'll be reading the comments. We'll be watching the groups. And we really appreciate all the feedback you guys do give us. You guys have been wonderful.
Yeah, you guys are great.
Yeah. Until next time, guys, float on.
See ya.